It was absolutely the best representation I've ever seen of what it's like to be a poor rural kid and like live in a poor rural setting, to the point that I have friends that I would text those friends while I was reading it and be like, you have got to read.
George R. Martin says, it inspired me to write my own 7-book trilogy. It's got a similar, like, grounded, gritty, explosive quality as Game of Thrones, where you get a lot of, like, character development, a lot of world building and lore, and the story is moving, and you get kind of several, like, plot lines that are happening, and then, like, all of a sudden, boom, things explode. Hey, I'm Joel.
And my name's Tripp.
Welcome to the Library of Many Lives. Today we're sharing our favorite 3 books that we've read in the last year. So it's going to be spoiler-free. We're going to pitch the books and then talk about why we love them, and then we're going to say who do we think that they're for and not for. But the way we're going to do this is we're going to try to guess each other's. Ooh, we should keep score.
Whoever loses has to move to the other state. Can you imagine one of us going to our either your girlfriend or my wife and being like, hey, just so you know, we have to move to another state because I didn't guess the right number of books?
They're like, that's a lot to put on the line for...
Think of a prize.
What would be an actual prize?
I mean, maybe buy the other one a book of their choice.
I'm going to make you read the 4th book of the Stormlight Archives.
Without having read. Without having read. Imagine that, like truly being like, as your punishment, you have to read the 7th book in this series with no context.
Yeah, the 7th Wheel of Time book. Oh, right in the middle.
You have to read the 9th one, and there's still 5 books left, or whatever it is.
Yeah. The loser is buying the winner book. The winner. This almost feels like a punishment for the winner.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Now it's backwards.
Yes.
I see
that makes me want to lose.
I was thinking that the winner could punish the loser.
No, we're incentivizing. We're incentivizing each other to lose so that we can punish the other one by making them read something. I'm going to assign you systematic theology as your
The winner buys the loser a book and they have to read it. But also it could be a book that they want to read. Yeah. But I don't know. Something about that seems fun.
Yeah.
And then we'll do a show where they pitch it and say who's it for. Yeah, it could be like fun. A short one if we wanted.
We're doing my number 3 first. It's Southern Gothic.
All right. Here's my guess. This is interesting because this was actually my guess before you gave me the clues.
Oh.
So I feel like I should get 2 points.
No, whoa. No.
Here it is. Ready?
Yeah.
Demon Copperhead.
Yes, Demon Copperhead was my 3rd favorite book. Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Demon Copperhead was my 3rd favorite book of the year. Or not of the year, of the last 12 months.
That's crazy. I guessed that without knowing the genre.
How do we even know that's true? Demon Copperhead is by Barbara Kingsolver. I always say her name wrong. Barbara Kingsolver. It is a coming-of-age story set in Appalachia. It's written from the perspective of this whip-smart, poor rural kid who is honestly just trying to survive. From early on, he's pretty much aware, like, the world that I'm growing up in is stacked against me.
I open that book every once in a while and just like read paragraphs out of it and then put it back on the shelf because the prose is so interesting.
It was absolutely the best representation I've ever seen of what it's like to be a poor rural kid and like live in a poor rural setting, to the point that I have friends that I would text those friends while I was reading it and be like, you have got to read Demon Copperhead. I cried several times in the book. The characters felt like people I knew, like family members of mine, because I just grew up around it. And I was lucky enough to grow up in a family who my parents were not going through addiction, but everyone around me was going through those things.
You had others in your family that were...
Well, that, exactly. Like, I had cousins and people that were related to me who were going through addiction. The Southern experience especially the Southern poor experience, like impoverished communities, rural communities, are often ignored in the media for what they really are, and they're often scapegoated, and they're often mischaracterized. And it felt like this novel was doing all the things that I wished people would have done.
Is it a heavy book?
It is heavy, but it's heavy in a way that it's got comedy to it.
I would say that it's almost written like dark whimsical.
Yes, that's a great description, I think.
The style of it makes it easier to like swallow those things that are heavy.
For sure. And
Because
I think it's
like,
an important book
I'm so
because of that.
Captured by like the language of it, you know? Like listen to this first line. This first line is so good. First, I got myself born. That's so good.
Yes. It's an important book, I think. I think it's a book that people should read that will teach them a lot and that will show them that their idea of these places may not be totally incorrect, but it gives a context to those things that makes it easier to understand how those things came about and why those things are the way they are. I've had to grow up in a town that the main street is called Confederate Avenue.
Whoa.
So my black friends and I growing up, we had to contend with the fact that this is a part of our history. Yeah, Dallas, the main street in Dallas is called Confederate Avenue. We had to contend with that fact our whole lives.
Right.
So in the South, you don't get to just dodge these conversations and pretend like this isn't a part. I mean, you've been to my old house. My old house had a Civil War monument and a Civil War graveyard at the end of the street. So when me and my daughter walk our dogs, when we used to walk our dogs on that road, we had to have conversations about why is this here?
Right.
What does it mean? We didn't get to dodge it. I didn't get to pretend like, oh, that was some other people. We didn't do that. We weren't a part of it. We have to live through it. And so even though it's a sad book and a heavy book in ways, it gave me a good feeling to read because it felt like somebody knows what it's like for real to grow up in these areas and not just some caricature.
It sounds very meaningful, special. It sounds really relevant. It sounds like the kind of book that is insightful and you come away from it having grown as a person, having a better look at other people's experiences and culture, and like that kind of transcends into like books being art.
Yep.
Who is it for?
It is for people who like witty dialogue. It is for people who like stories that span over the course of a lifetime. So the book is written from the perspective of someone late in their life recounting their life's journey. So they're starting at day one. That's why the first line of the book is, so first I got myself born. And even that first line is so genius, but Demon from the very beginning feels like he's alone and he doesn't have help and he has to, no one's going to do it for him. He's got to figure it out. And so think about that idea. And then the very first line of the book is, I got myself born. If you're interested in the South and the culture of these types of communities, then it's for you. If you like coming of age, I think you would like it, even though it goes into his adulthood. It's hits some of those notes of coming of age. It's not for people who can't read about kids in really dark, messed up situations.
Oh, yeah.
If you can't read about, and not scary horror. The thing that I heard from someone who was reading it who didn't grow up in one of those areas was that they couldn't finish it because they were like, I just had a hard time recognizing that this is happening. Like these things are happening right now.
Yeah.
And this is a real experience that people live. And it's just too sad. I just couldn't do it. This book is not for
people
you.
Just engage with books in different ways.
This book is not for people who like to live in blissful ignorance.
My number three
might
be for you if that's what you want. It is romantasy gothic.
I
would say gothic, but it's kind of a eerie, moody.
Yeah. It was coming out around the time you asked the lady about it for the buy one, get one 50% off. And she said it wasn't released yet. And you were like, well, actually, it is released in certain stores.
That was The Night and the Moth, which is right here. And that is not the book.
That's not it. That's the one I was thinking of.
Okay.
Yep. So
So
I got it
0
wrong.
points.
Yep. 0 points there.
The book is One Dark Window.
Oh, okay. Wait, is that the one where they use trading cards?
So they're not trading cards, but it's like magic is manipulated through cards, like the Nightmare or the Well. They're very like tarot-esque, but they're not actually tarot cards, but they're just like themed.
Are there multiple of them?
Like, yeah. So
do they have value?
So card holders get like different magic depending on the cards, and then the different cards there's like limited amounts.
Yeah, but what I mean is,
only be
do
like
they have value?
4 of one of
like
them.
Some of them are seen as more valuable than others.
Yes, because of like the limitedness of it, and also the power of it.
If I felt like, man, my friend has that card that has this power I need, and he has, I have this card that has a power he needs, could we, in theory, trade them to one another?
In theory, that would be a possibility.
Can you buy packs that hold 7 to 15 of these at a time? Okay, keep going.
There's
Sorry.
like, I forget how many there are.
So they're kind of like tarot cards.
Yes. So
Okay.
the like card owners get different powers, and it might be that you can like read minds, or that you can influence people's will, or like they're pretty creative and interesting. And the idea is that they were like, these cards were like forged basically by like this old king, and their kingdom are the ones who have it. So this isn't like a worldwide thing. It's gothic, it's romantasy, and it's like gothic because the kingdom is like surrounded by mist, and it's cut off from like the rest of the world.
Joel,
and it's eerie.
This book about cards, what's the main character's name?
Elspeth.
It's the name of a planeswalker from Magic. That's awesome. That's so sick. Okay. Sorry.
I wonder if Rachel Gillig like plays Magic or something, and inspired.
It's such a good
her book.
idea. I want to say that before you even go further. The idea of cards that give you powers is such a good idea, and it immediately taps into the minds and hearts of anyone who has ever loved a trading card game. Like it is. Yeah. It's a great idea.
Absolutely. The main character is like a girl who has magic, but because magic is tied to, there's other forms of magic too in the world, but the main source of magic is like tied to the cards, and the people who have power, you like leverage that. So if you have magic outside of the cards, you're like put to death. So that's like their way of controlling magic and like controlling people. And so the main character has magic. So it's kind of like her story of like getting wrapped up in the kingdom.
Yeah.
It is romantasy, but I would say this, the romance that's in it is, it's not like a side plot. It is a main piece of the story. But this feels almost like an equal blend to me, like 50-50 of romance and fantasy.
I would love to know more. Like, I'm a big time world building and story, like lore person. And I kind of want to read it just to even just know more about the magic system and where it comes from and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and it does get into that. Like the world is, and that kind of lore is like featured heavily. So It's not a backdrop. It's a driving force for the plot, which I really like. It's quick read. The prose is not anything like Demon Copperhead. It's really effective at communicating tone, and it does have its own style. It feels like Bloodborne and Elden Ring, but without the like crazy monster violence and stuff. Like that's like what the tone of it feels like. It would hit people who like stuff that's a little more easy to read, that's maybe more lightweight, but while still having themes that are a little darker.
Is it part of a series?
There's 2 books.
Oh, it's a duology.
Yep, duology.
I don't think I've ever read a duology. Okay, who is it? Who would you say it's for?
I would say this book is for people who want to dip their toe into romantasy with a book that's just like cool. Like if you want really good world building and an interesting mood, it's for people who like character-driven, small, focused plots that are then affecting like greater story. And what I mean by that is you're following one character.
Yeah.
And the people that she meets, she's important, but she's not like, this isn't like she's leading armies and stuff like that. But what she's doing is still very relevant to the kingdom.
Okay.
I'd say it's for people who like fairy tales, but want something that's maybe darker, like a darker style fairy tale.
All right. Are you ready for my number 2? Literary fiction and its modern dark comedy.
Modern dark comedy.
Yep.
Is it Leonard and Hungry Paul?
No, Leonard and Hungry Paul, but no, it's not that.
Leonard.
Yeah. Wow.
Leonard. It's not. Oh, man.
My favorite Ninja Turtle is Leonardo. Also, Leonard and Hungry Paul isn't dark comedy, just so you know, in case anyone decides to pick that up. If you don't like dark comedy, you can still read that book. It's really good. Slice of life book that's really good. My second book is Running the Light by Sam Talent. I'll move it a little closer so you can see it. Running the Light by Sam Talent. Sam Talent is a stand-up comedian, and he wrote this book that is about a comic at the end of his career, basically.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so Running the Light, the phrase Running the Light comes from stand-up comedy, and it is basically the idea that you're on stage after your time, and they're flashing the light at you that you need to finish up, and you refuse to get off the stage. And that should tell you everything you need to know about the story found in this book.
So it's about a stand-up comic.
Yes.
So is he doing routines and stuff in the book?
Yeah. So he's basically a stand-up comic who had his heyday in like the 90s, right? Okay. And was one of the biggest comics in the world. His career went downhill, and now he still travels and does comedy as kind of like a has-been who is still on the road to make money, but he's kind of miserable in a lot of ways, you know, like his life is not great. It goes into his addiction and what it's like to be on the road by yourself. It has a lot.
You seem to like books about addiction.
I do, but I just like dark themed books and stories and movies. I tend to learn more about myself and other people and the world through these heavy, serious ideas than I do through happy, joyful stories. I like those. It's just not what I gravitate towards all the time.
We are so different when it comes to our taste. It's like the books that we like that are the same, they cross over in different ways.
Yeah. It's
because you're this way with movies too.
Yes.
Like one of your favorite movies is like Super Dark Times.
It's literally called Super Dark Times.
I appreciate that movie, but I like would never want to watch it again.
Comics have said that this is one of the most true pictures of what life on the road can be like for comedians in several stages of their career. What it's like to travel thousands of miles alone for the next gig. What it's like to have people offer to pay you in drugs instead of money. You know, things like that. Comics have said this is a very true account of what it's like for a comic who's not on Netflix, who's not doing, you know, these big arenas. I just was so surprised that this book was written by someone who's not an author as their main job. The person who wrote this is a stand-up comic.
Yeah.
It was his first novel.
There's a lot of crossover with that, though.
Yeah, communication
I would say that, like,
and...
If anyone, could write a novel really naturally, it would probably be a stand-up comedian because they have such command over language.
Yeah.
Like, they understand social situations and humor and emotion, right, in a way that I would guess translates really well into writing a novel.
So comedy, the reason it lands with us is because we relate to it. We recognize it as real. Something that is said hits us in a way that causes this response in our bodies that we can't control. Laughter is something that if you hear something or see something that triggers it, it's almost impossible to control it. The writing in this book has that talent where you are responding to things in a way that you're not having time to think about how does this make me feel. It's just happening.
Do you find yourself in situations where you can't laugh? And because you like are wanting to laugh, it makes you want to laugh more?
The only time that I can think of where I've been in a situation where I just could not laugh was that time our friend Miles told us to sit down and watch that comedy special with him. And we just stared at the screen, and he kept looking at us.
There were like 4 of us in the room, dead silent, watching this like stand-up routine. Nobody laughing, and Miles was like sweating profusely.
You could see him being so nervous of like, I told these guys this was so funny, and now no one's laughing. And to this day, I still don't know if it was because it wasn't actually funny, or if because he had set it up, we just couldn't get there. Yeah. Oh man, I think about that sometimes. It's hilarious.
Do you think that he has never shown anyone stand-up special ever again because he was so scarred by the experience?
I think it might have made him for a second question his taste in things. Like for a second, he was like, "Wait, am I stupid?"
Also, this is our good friend. This sounds like such a terrible
story.
Love Miles. We love Miles.
Yeah. But yeah, Running the Light is a great novel. It is for people who like, if you like stories that are kind of spirals out of control.
Would you say it's like Beef in that way?
Similar vibe, I think. This is more like watching water go down the drain and knowing that there's no stopping this. Or like a match burning out.
That has me intrigued.
If you like stand-up comedy, I think you'll enjoy it because it does feel sort of like an inside look at stand-up comedy. If you enjoy prose that is simple but impactful, I think you will enjoy it. I think the prose in this book is really good. The other type of person that this book is for, if you like road trip themed things, you're changing scenery all the time. You're changing cities all the time. Who it's not for is if you take issue with language. It's definitely not afraid to put you in a situation that is bizarre but also transgressive in some way, whether it's the thing that's being said, the way people are presenting. Meaning that, he's coming into contact with people who are selling their bodies, as their profession. He's coming into contact with drug dealers. He's also Sam Talent. This was his first novel, but he has another novel coming out here in a few months called Brute that I'm really excited about. People should go pre-order it because Sam is still a comedian, but he wants to be an author more full-time. And his second book's being published by Random House. And it's also coming out on the same day that Mr. Beast's book is coming out.
Okay.
So he's like, so there's no chance I'm going to be the bestseller.
I didn't know that Mr. Beast was writing a book. I'll be buying Brute.
It's like a thriller author, and he's partnering with celebrities to co-author thrillers, and then they're getting sold on his name, but also the celebrity's name. So it's like doubling the sales, basically. Feels like a marketing gimmick. But yeah, Mr. Beast is doing that.
It does, but it also is kind of interesting that like an author would pull somebody in who's not traditionally an author and be like, let's brainstorm, let's talk ideas and stuff like that. Like, I actually think that's kind of interesting. Not that I'm not going to read Mr. Beast's book, but that does sound like a very marketing scheme, but I kind of like the idea behind that. Yeah.
James Patterson is the author.
Well, anyway, Brute is coming out on the same day.
Yeah, Brute is about a hitman. It's an assassin novel based in France.
All right, my number 2.
Yep,
so
number 2.
My genre hint might not be very helpful. This is truly what it is. Traditional fantasy.
Traditional fantasy. Well, I know that all of this series isn't any good, so it would be hard to pick which one's the best out of books that aren't any good.
My God.
But I'm going to say the Dragonbone Chair. So the series would be Misery, Sorrow, and Thorn.
You are correct, but I'm sad, not because you got the point, but because you just said that the series isn't any good.
Oh, that was just because I knew what it was, and I wanted to mess with you because you like it so much. Yeah, I actually think it's probably great.
The Dragonbone Chair by Tad Williams.
Yeah.
Loved it. Fantastic. This book is Game of Thrones, but more Arthurian and less political intrigue. And these are actually what inspired like the Game of Thrones books. I mean, like a lot. Literally on the front of this book, it says, George R. R. Martin says, it inspired me to write my own 7-book trilogy. It's really apparent. Like you will read this and then you will see all of it, like the themes and even the world building stuff that was pulled from this. Inspired might be a generous term in some cases. For me, it was like super obvious. So,
well, I think it is super obvious, but I think that it is simply inspired because Tad Williams clearly is okay enough with what George wrote to let George do the blurb on the front of his novel.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, whether or not the authors care is one thing versus like I'm not saying whether or not it was right or wrong. I just mean as a reader, I think will see things in this. There are things that cross the line for me a bit that are kind of like you just pulled the exact same character almost even into your story. I love Game of Thrones. So I know that happens a lot. And I know there's no like unique idea. Like you're not going to come up with something that has just never, ever been come up with before. Like I don't think ideas are brand new in that way. And I think a lot of art is heavily inspired by other things that we like. But this story is about like Simon, who's a daydreaming kitchen boy who gets swept up in a quest for magical swords to basically stop like an undead sorcerer. It's got a similar like grounded, gritty, explosive quality as Game of Thrones, where you get a lot of like character development, a lot of world building and lore, and the story is moving, and you get kind of several like plot lines that are happening, and then like all of a sudden, boom, things explode, and you have this like really climatic moment that where it can be violent, where maybe people die or there's great action, and then things fall off, and you know, you get the aftermath of that, and then things like rise again, and they build, and it weaves in more characters, people you didn't think were important, they are now, and you realize, oh, these characters we met are actually our main characters, and they're coming together to form like the party, you know, the fellowship, and then like boom, you have a really explosive ending again where things have built up. I like that ebb and flow, and those moments make, I think, the slower parts of books like this worth it. It recontextualizes what you've read, and then it like pays off. Yeah. And I think sometimes when you're reading it and you don't see how it's building up or where it's going, it can be a little difficult because you maybe will feel like, oh, it drags a bit, or you know, especially when they're like questing. You know, when you've got like travel like from point A to point B, but once you like arrive and it turns out all these little details and lore things you've heard about are relevant and show up, whether it be dragons or magical swords or, you know, sorcerers or whatever. This is the kind of book where it almost feels like you're reading it and it feels like a lot of random things and nothing's relevant. Then you get to the end of the book and you're like, oh, actually everything was relevant. Like it's quite tight, quite focused. World building in this, fantastic. I love it. And that's the thing I think that Martin probably got the most inspiration from is the world building. Yeah.
Just from the Game of Thrones connection alone, you know, I love George R. R. Martin, obviously. He's one of my favorite authors. I want to read this because of its inspiration to him for sure.
So I would say that this one is for people who love Game of Thrones.
Yep.
But maybe want something that's a little bit lighter than Game of Thrones. It's not as grimdark.
Yeah.
Grimdark is I would not call this grimdark. I would call this more traditional fantasy. It's for people who like know what to expect and are okay with like slower moments of pacing, but then things come together in ways that I think are satisfying and meaningful. And you start to get like it being greater than the sum of its parts because everything, you know, is relevant or characters are meaningful and you didn't realize that they were, or characters show up again and things like that.
Yep.
It's also for people who like magical quests and they like epic scale, but you're following characters that feel really grounded, and their story is focused on their fears and on their growth and on their journey. So it feels very local and intimate in that way. But the scale of the story is epic.
It felt to me somewhere between the tone and setting of Lord of the Rings and the tone and setting of Game of Thrones. Yeah. Okay. Number 3 for.
This is actually number 1.
Yeah.
Favorite book that you've read in the last year.
It's honestly pointless for me to even do this one.
I think we might have the same one.
Right.
So this whole section will be us just talking about potentially the same book.
Yeah. Do you have the book? Wait, do you have the book in front of you?
I do. Let's say 3, 2, 1,
and then just hold it up and say it. Yeah.
And say, wait a minute. I say you.
No, I've got the book that I'm going to hold up. I didn't change the book. I promise. I did not change the book.
Okay, you ready?
Yep.
So 3, 2, 1. Hold up your book, but you say the other person's book. We're guessing each other's book, and you have to say the full thing. All right, ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1. Mr. Penumbra's 24-hour bookstore. And
I couldn't choose.
I was wondering how we got to number 1, and you hadn't included either of those books in your 2 or 3 slot.
You knew something was up. You're like,
I know. I was like, what the heck?
Yeah. I literally could not choose. And if I had not reread Mr. Penumbra's recently, then Boy's Life would have 100% been number 1 for the last year.
Mm-hmm.
But I did read Mr. Penumbra's again. And they're so different, but they're so good. So,
quick pitch for Mr. Penumbra's, and then we can do one for Boy's Life.
Okay.
We have a whole episode on Mr. Penumbra's. So if you want an actual detailed, in-depth look at that or a recommendation on who's it for, go watch that video.
Yep.
But for now, we'll just give a quick one. So it's basically a laid-off web developer gets a job at a bookstore in San Francisco. It's whimsical. It's bookish and secretive. The patrons of the store, they don't buy books. They borrow them. And when the main character, Clay, opens one up finally and sees what the people are borrowing, it's just gibberish.
Yeah.
Random letters inside. It's mystery. It's magical realism vibe, but without
any real magic. Yeah. I actually have been calling it realistic magic. Realistic magicalism.
Yeah, that's good. Realistic magicalism.
It is magic somehow, but it's not magic. I don't know how to explain it. Yeah, there's no magic, but it is magic. I don't know. It's so good. Literary mystery. Robin Sloan's amazing. Couldn't recommend it more highly. One of my favorite books of all time.
It's for secret hunter people who love going to thrift stores,
yard sales.
They love going to used bookstores. They want to find the box of magic cards,
the hunt
print run.
They're on the hunt.
Yeah, it's all about the hunt.
100%. Boy's Life. Boy's Life is magical realism once again, coming of age. Robert McCammon describes the magic of childhood and what it feels like to be a preteen boy in a perfect way in this book.
Yeah, it's definitely in my favorite books of all time.
It captures the feeling you had as a child where something crazy was happening. And now as an adult looking back, it's hard for you to know, was it actually that crazy? Or if I had been an adult, would I have seen it differently and had a better understanding of what was going on in a way that the childhood whimsical feeling, the childhood sense of wonder, the childhood sense of fear about things, is so perfectly well done. Incredible. The setting's amazing. It's in my top 5 books of all time, I think. It's so good.
Mine too. I had a dream. This is what it feels like to me. I had a dream when I was a kid that I went to Blockbuster, and this was in the 90s before the prequels came out. And in the dream, I remember looking at the rack and seeing these alternate covers with Ewoks on them and other Star Wars-y things. When Disney Plus put all the Star Wars films on a couple years ago, I was browsing. Did you know there were actually more Star Wars movies that were made? There were 4 TV movies, this is real, that were made.
What?
And I saw the listings and I recognized the covers. And I was like, these are the covers that I thought I dreamed about as a kid that weren't actually real. They were real. George Lucas made 2 or 3, 4 television like Ewok
How
battle.
have I never
the
heard
battle
of
for
this?
like indoor movies and stuff. Yeah, that's what Boys Life feels to be. Where it's like you have these memories that feel magical, and you're like not sure if they were real or not. Wonderful. And
I have a perfect
like,
memory like that.
Absolutely love it
too. Something that this is exactly what Boys Life feels like. One time I was at a friend's house and we were going to a different spot in his neighborhood to play. It wasn't that far of a walk, but you took this trail through the woods. And this one time when we were coming back from playing to his house, that trail somehow, instead of it taking us 10 minutes to walk it, we just got to like exploring and looking around, and we got to his house and his mom was like, "Where have y'all been? Y'all were supposed to come back at whatever time." And we were like, it is that time. We walked back from there. But actually we had been in that little trail section for like 2.5 hours when it should have taken us like 10 minutes. But as a kid, I was like, no, we just came straight here. Example. We came straight here. And now as an adult, I'm like, did we just get distracted playing and exploring? What kind of weird experience was that? But as a kid, it felt like...
Or did like time and space actually stretch?
As a kid, it literally
and you
felt...
got to experience 2 hours worth of exploration in 10 minutes.
Yes, that's exactly what it felt like. Yeah, so that's what Boys Life. So it's for people who have memories like that and want to experience it again.
Okay, so we are 2 for 2,
and we'll do an episode
2 for 3.
We'll do an episode on Boys Life eventually, where we'll talk more in depth about it.
I'm almost done with it, so probably as soon as I'm done, in an episode or 2, we'll do a Boys Life one. So we have both guessed 2 of each other's.
Yep,
it's a tie. So we're doing a bonus round, which is
the book we liked the least.
Least favorite book
of the last 12 months.
Of the last year.
Yeah. Am I guessing yours first? I say you don't give a genre for this one.
No genre. You just have to raw guess it.
I'm going to take a stab in the dark. I think I'm potentially wrong, but I feel like I'm not. Out of all the books you've read in the last 12 months, I'm going to say the one you enjoyed the least, not the one that you think is the worst, the one you enjoyed the least is Lonesome Dove.
That is incorrect. There is another that I would have accepted 2. I'm actually going to put 2 books in here. Words of Radiance or Oathbringer from the Stormlight Archive.
Both of them?
I got to book 4 and realized that I was just like willing myself through.
You were just trying to complete
forcing
the series.
myself to try and get to a point where I was like enjoying it again. Book 1, The Way of Kings, I think is fantastic. Books 2 and 3, this is awful. And the Sanderson people are going to hate me for this, but I was at the point where I was completely skipping chapters of certain characters, and I was completely skipping like flashback sections. Like it started where I was like,
literally were not reading the book.
I got to the point where I was skimming flashbacks.
Your least favorite book was a book you weren't reading.
Well, that's how little I was enjoying it. I was like skimming flashbacks because I was like, it was such a slog. It didn't feel like it was really giving me insights in. I was so invested in the like modern stuff, and then I was being like forced to go back in time and like read stuff that just I didn't care about. And then again, whole characters that I like could not stand to even read their chapters. So I got to book 4 and I was like, what am I doing? I think I've only read like 60% of like what I'm supposed to even be reading here.
I tried to read Way of Kings. I tried to read Way of Kings. Didn't make it.
Oh, dude, that book's good though.
Didn't make it.
The stuff with
I just think Sanderson's
Kaladin
not for me.
And the bridge running is so good.
I just think Sanderson's not for me. All right, can you guess mine? I'm sure you can.
This is my guess, and if it's not this, then I think you have mistakenly chosen your book. It's got to be Harry Potter, the Cursed Child. Dude, there is no way you read anything else and it isn't that book. Oh, I got it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Listen, I'm not joking. This is the worst book I've ever read. This is...
Ever. Not just in the last year.
Yeah, the worst book I've ever read. Me and my daughter have been reading middle grade series together, and every single middle grade series book that I've read that's meant for like 8, 9, and 10-year-olds, I would read again before I read this. It didn't change my opinion of Harry Potter, the series, but it did make me be like, I think I like Harry Potter less because this exists. Like, it's still, Harry Potter's still amazing. I love it. But there was a part of me that was like, if I never engage with Harry Potter again, that might be okay, because I just can't stand the idea that this is canon and part of the real thing. It's not even fan service. Like, you can't even call it fan service. It is, the story's bad, the plot is bad, the characters don't read as themselves. There's things that are included that make no sense for the world, do not line up with the world we were given in the books. It's so bad. I'm
actually blown away that it was greenlit. Do you think it was purely for the money?
No, I don't know what it was. I mean, she was already super rich, so it can't have been because of the money, I don't think.
Or do you think she just didn't care? She was like, oh, whatever, I read it, it was fun.
Maybe she was like into the idea of Harry Potter having a Broadway presence or something, because it's, done. It was made to be like a Broadway play, a stage show. Maybe that's what it was. I don't know. All I know is that I try not to be like, this is a bad book or a bad story. I try not to be like, my opinion on something is the correct opinion. It is hard for me to understand how someone who has read the series, maybe a kid could read the series and then read that and just love it because they're like, I'm back with the characters, I'm back in the world.
It has crossed into, this isn't for you, into this thing is just bad.
I don't know who this is for. I mean, okay, this is for people who what they care about is being in the wizarding world. If you don't really care about...
They're willing to eat anything that gets put out that is Harry Potter related in any way.
If what you love is being in a story that's technically set in the wizarding world, has recognizable names, has recognizable scenes and imagery, this is for you. If you
it probably would
care
be
about
better
Harry
to
Potter
just go
in
read fan
any
fiction.
other way, it's bad.
So I won.
You did win. So
I got 3.
What happens
and you
now?
got 2.
You get to give me a mystery book.
I have to buy you. Now I feel like I'm regretting setting this. I have to buy you a book. You have to read it, and then we'll do an episode on your reading of it. And you won't know what it is. It'll be a blind book. I'll wrap it and everything.
So you wrap it, I receive it, I read it and review it to you on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that sounds awesome, actually. I kind of like that I lost. That sounds fun.
Yeah. I think you should have to Venmo me the cost of the book.
Whoa. That's me buying myself a book.
So, yeah, exactly. But because you lost, you have to pay for it, but you don't know what it is.
No, what you want is the honor of buying your best friend a book.
With you.
Well, the last thing we should say to people is to follow us online, subscribe,
links
like,
in
comment.
the down below.
What are your favorite 3 books you've read over the last 12 months? Why? Who is it for? Who are they not for? Let us know.
Yeah. Let us know.
All right, bro.
And I'll talk to you later, man.
Yep. See ya.